He says he knows how many hairs are on your head. He knows you better than you know yourself. He knows the inner workings of your entire body. Imagine that. My wife's always saying, I wish you knew more about me. I wish you would know that, right? I mean, every wife will say, I wish you would know me, but I wish you would know. I wish you would know, right? I can't read Debbie's mind. I'm a psychologist, and I know that most wives want their husbands to be able to know what they're, what they want, what they're thinking, somehow without asking them. But it doesn't work that way. We human beings cannot read each other's minds, but God is different. He knows everything about us. He knows what we're going to say, the Bible says, before we say it. Isn't that something? God's not this, he's up there, and God is just great. He's so intimately involved and interested in us. We're his creations, we're his babies. Isn't that something? And when somebody realizes that really, they take a step back. That God really is interested in them and cares about them and thought about them even before they were here. So, Psalm 139:16 says, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. So there's the writing again. There's something about, it's the closest way God can tell us, I don't think he's physically writing, but the closest way he can tell us that he is the source and the author of really what makes us us, which is the idea, the design of who we are. Acts 17:26 says, from one man he made all the nations that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out their appointed times in history, the boundaries of their lands. He did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he's not far from any one of us. He specifically designed where you would live, where you would be born, everything that would happen, the time you would live. So if you're thinking, man, I wish I was here, I wish I was there, the grass is greener on the other side. Oh, if I was in India, then maybe I would, be more on fire for God, or this. No. God actually designed your life exactly where you are. That's what he's saying. And he's not very far from any one of us. See that sphere intersecting the... we may think, I don't see, but he is right next to our dimension of reality. He's right here. In a sense, he is right here. He's just not completely showing himself. So, and he has a reason for that too. So, by the way, just going back to creation and evolution a little bit, but this is the most important thing. If you get anything, what information is, I want you to take that away. That is so key. And that's going to be key to all kinds of things that we're going to have an understanding of that are happening in the world around us and in the universe. And the key to every single field of science, every single thing, this is going to be key. So here's the thing, people say, well, look at this. This animal has 2 eyes and a nose, and therefore it's an ancestor for this animal that has 2 eyes and a nose, and this has fins, so this animal came from this one, fins, and these things have these similarities. But is a similar design an argument for this story of evolution? A Lamborghini and a VW Bug have similar designs. They both have combustion engines. They use gasoline. They have windshields. Even a 747 has, they all have round rubber tires on them, right? So does that mean they evolve from each other over a long period of time? Certainly not. A good engineer doesn't reinvent the wheel. Even a good engineer uses a good design for similar purposes in different ways. So all new car designs have wheels. It's not an argument against the creator. It's an argument actually for a wise creator who's going to use a great design, going to use it in multiple places. These are a little bit of sidetrack things, but I don't know how much we want to go into some things. Would you guys like to, I think somebody talked about the lightning strike in the early Earth atmosphere, making amino acids. Did you guys want me to go into that a little bit, or explain why that
What's the other
doesn't
choice?
work? Well, let me ask you guys. You got any questions here? You got anything that you're particularly interested in?
The flood.
The flood.
Okay, how many people want the flood?
Well, I also want like 20 more weeks of this too.
How many people want something else? Yes,
I just have a question.
yes,
The Big Bang Theory,
yes.
can that be related to, God, my thought is, yeah, there's a Big Bang, he said, let there be light, and
Well, yeah.
no?
Well, I mean, a big bang would be a ton of energy, but what they're saying is a ton of energy is already there somehow, and it gets explosion, like that atomic bomb, incredible explosion, right? And creates this whole universe. But Isaac Asimov would say, and there's a video series you can ask me about, interviews different people. But Isaac Asimov is in there explaining the second law of thermodynamics, and he says if there was a Big Bang, then there was so much incredible amount of order in that tiny object that exploded, that when it exploded, lots of order decreased, but there was still so much order. It's sort of like a bunch of, he describes it as an incredibly ordered parade that gets split up, but you still have the regiments in the parade all over the place. So the order decreased, but there was so much order there in the beginning that it didn't destroy all the order. But he doesn't explain where the order came from in the first place, or the energy, or the matter. So the Big Bang really doesn't really help that much. And I don't think, actually there's been a lot of speculation about the origin of the universe. The Big Bang is sort of the latest one, and but there's been the steady state theory. There's been all kinds of ideas. I think that actually when science is trying to, I thought it was pretty interesting. Stephen Hawking died recently, but you could see his programs on whatever, Nat Geo or something, and he's explaining the origin of everything and the origin of everything, right? And he goes back to, well, we can understand back to the first fraction of a second, but we can't go back, before that. Really, you can really explain everything back to the first fraction of a second? I think it's a little bit arrogant to think that you know everything that happened, especially before there's any human observers to look at it. It's interesting, a lot of these things that we know so much for certain when no human beings were around to observe it. I mean, it's not really realistic. We really don't know as much as we think we know. And by the way, even in the solar system, even in this solar system, they had ideas about the planets, what they were like, and they sent these probes out, and these probes gather information, and they're like, whoa. Guess what? They're acting like they saw a surprise effect. My goodness, Neptune. Oh, it's got the magnetic field on 90 degrees to its axis of rotation. Whoa, how does that happen? Wow, Saturn's rings, it's actually made out of dust particles, and they're interacting. Whoa, how does that happen? They have all these things that are very surprising and amazing and beautiful and structured. And so there's a lot of surprises in our own solar system. And really, we think we know what's going on far out there. I like to say the most certain things, you got mathematics. Okay, define that, you can understand that, that's pretty straightforward. I like mathematics because you could get a proof and it's not like subjective. English, I don't like what you were saying on that paper and stuff, and it's like, why? Well, it seemed more subjective. Mathematics, I knew if I got the right answer, I got the right answer. Bam. There's no like, I don't know what my grade is. If I got it right, it's right? So physics is maybe a little less certain under that, but physics, unless you're trying to speculate about incredibly esoteric subatomic particles with all kinds of mathematical equations and stuff. When you have physics, you know, F equals ma, things like this, it's pretty ordered and straightforward. Then you get more complicated. You're talking about biology. Okay, that's so complex that we understand. We can't really say we understand that completely, but we understand more and more and more things about it, ordered, but it's incredibly complex. They're discovering all kinds of things. Wow, I didn't think the appendix had any useful function, but oh, I guess it does now. So this is a less certain, this is sort of degree of certainty. But then you've got psychology down here, you know, sociology, maybe economics, which is really related to people and making decisions and all that. So this is less certain. I'm a psychologist, and I mean, I have lots of theories and stuff, but nothing in psychology. You do experiments and stuff, you can say, well, this correlates to that. 78% is really high, but it's less certain. And then you get down here, you know, way down here. I think you get, you know, like you get astrophysics, or okay, you get geology. Okay, what happened in the past? They're not really watching. Here are these things you can kind of at least do experiments and test it and stuff. You get theology. You can't test it so well. And you know, if you say you're really certain, you're getting less and less certain. Now you're looking at things that are, you know, light years away. You're actually less certain. And for somebody to say, "Oh, we know exactly what happened back to the," I mean, no, we don't even know what's happening in front of our eyes that well. Some of these, anyway. Yes.
Can you talk